100%. But let's get that conversation going on the banking space. We have Parag Jariwala of Religare Capital Markets joining in. Parag, hi. Thanks very much for joining in. First, the topic that we were discussing was about the sugar space. Can you tell us if you've done any sort of analysis in terms of which are the banks which would have the highest sort of exposure to sugar? And are you worried about the loans which are dispersed to the sugar space from an NPA perspective or maybe restructuring perspective?
We haven't done any, detailed calculation as regards to which stocks are, will have a higher exposure to the sugar sector. But if you look at the history, generally PSU banks and, mid-tier PSU banks like Andhra, Indian Overseas, Indian Bank, all these people have very high exposures to sugar sector. But overall, I don't think that sugar industry as a percentage of total loan, it's that material. But yeah, again, because of the fact that the sector is in the tremendous problem, I think some of the PSU banks may see some pressures in next 6 to 9 months.
Okay, yesterday we saw some kind of support coming in for several PSU banks, and even the Bank Nifty is generally supported. Is it that as they get towards 0.4 times book or below 0.4 times book, there is trading and even investor activity there?
It can be because, once you fall below 0.5 times book, I think, valuations start looking attractive. But, the fact of the matter remains that we should see a stress asset formation coming down, credit costs coming down. And it's unlikely to happen, on a sustainable basis. You may see 1 quarter of lower stress asset formation and, slight support to the overall profitability. But see, for the overall sector to do well on a consistent basis, I think, we should see some broad-based improvement in the economy, as well as some kind of the policy-related assets which are under tremendous problems in power and other infra or core sectors. There should be some relief on those sides to see, meaningful re-rating for PSU bank. And I don't think that, that is happening anytime near, in next 6 to even a 1 year period.
Which bank or PSU bank looks maybe the most attractive after the correction that we've seen, just on a valuation basis?
So, if you just talk about valuations, I think, again, the mid-tier PSU banks like Union, Bank of India, Canara, and some of the other banks, though we don't cover them, but on a consensus basis, if you look at them, they are trading at 0.4, 0.5 times FY17 price to book. So, if you just take a purely on the valuations, barring the top 3 banks like SBI, BOB, and PNB, others do look attractive. But again, I won't be, buying them for the fundamental reasons, mainly because I don't think there is any scope for tremendous improvement in their profitability.
Okay, at the moment, what is your stand on private sector banks? Do you like all of them? Is there a hierarchy?
Yeah, of course there is a hierarchy. So we continue to like more retail-centric private sector banks like HDFC Bank, Kotak, IndusInd Bank to a certain extent. See, mainly we continue to think that loan growth for these banks will be much higher than the industry growth rate. I won't be surprised that if FY16 system growth could be sub 10%, but these banks can continue to grow at 18-20%, which is like double of the system. And I also won't be surprised if there is a very little margin compression for all these guys, mainly because if you have 40 to 50% of your assets into retail sectors, there and most of those loans are given on a fixed rate basis, auto, CVs, two-wheelers, credit cards, etc. So on those sides, the margin compression will also be lower. And also, I think history suggests that they have done a very good job in terms of managing their asset quality. So all these factors are, it's favorable for retail-centric private sector banks, and we continue to like them. Among the corporates, corporate lenders, if you want to choose, I will definitely choose Axis over ICICI, because again the return profile and the asset quality profile is looking better for Axis as compared to ICICI.
Okay. All right, Parag, we leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and talking to us. So that's some perspective coming in on the banking space. Religare's picks right now, for example, they prefer Axis versus ICICI Bank within the corporate lending space.